Welcome back to Becoming the Product. I am Naya, your host as always. And if you've ever looked at your calendar and thought, it is already November, maybe it is too late to start again, this one is for you. Today's episode is called, Is it too late to pivot? The answer is no. And I want to share a bit of my story, the messy, unexpected, but ultimately proof-filled version of how I pivoted from banking into tech, and what I have learned about timing, clarity, and courage along the way. So I was about 8 years deep into a traditional banking career. It was a stable job, there was consistent pay, there was structure. You know, that kind of predictable environment that feels safe even when it's not fulfilling. And if you had told me back then that I would someday be working in tech, I would have laughed, because my plan was never to pivot, at least not consciously. But life has a way of forcing your hand sometimes. I was about 8 weeks postpartum, 10 months into my new job, when I got laid off. And at that point, I was just trying to survive. I mean, there was no plan, there was no fancy career plan, there was no roadmap. I was just a new mom trying to figure out what was next. And you know what's funny? At that stage, I still wasn't thinking about pivoting. I was just looking for a job. Anything that made sense, anything where I could get money, anything that could give me a sense of control, give me back a sense of control. It took me about 3 months after that layoff to even start thinking clearly again. And during that period, I started noticing patterns. I had just gotten into the tech space, so I hadn't really researched more until this period. Everywhere I looked, people were talking about tech this, tech that. I would see posts about UX designs, no-code tools, startups raising funding. And I got curious. But not because I had figured it out, but because something told me maybe this is the direction I need to explore. So I did what I always do when I'm unsure. I started learning. I went down the rabbit hole of tech bootcamps, YouTube tutorials, online courses, and community discussions. I joined a lot of groups, and the tutorials I watched on YouTube was a lot. But it wasn't until I started hearing about product management that things really clicked. It felt like this intersection between structure and creativity, between systems and people. And I realized that, maybe I've actually been doing some version of this all along. In banking, I was managing stakeholders. I was designing customer experiences. I was analyzing processes. I was improving systems. I just didn't have a tech title for it. That realization changed everything. So I made it official. I put a plan in place. I signed up for about 2 product management bootcamps. I worked on side projects. I followed YouTubers that were PMs. I followed LinkedIn influencers that were PMs. I showed up online with my Becoming the Product podcast and on LinkedIn as well. And little by little, things started to shift. It did not happen overnight. It took about 12 to 24 months. But by the time I landed my first role in tech, I knew there was no going back. Because I wasn't just changing industries. I was changing how I saw myself. Looking back now, I wish I had known from the start of my career that it's okay to pivot. That changing direction doesn't mean you have failed. That being multi-passionate or curious isn't a weakness, it's data. Because honestly, if you plan it strategically, you can make a pivot happen without chaos. Mine was forced, I won't sugarcoat it. But even then, that painful push led me to purpose. If I had summarized what I have learned from that experience, I would say there are 3 truths about pivoting that no one tells you. The first one is pivoting does not erase your past, it redeems it. Every role, every season, every random skill you have picked up, it all becomes raw material for your next chapter. My years in banking taught me how to communicate clearly, how to analyze patterns, how to manage risk, skills that made me a stronger product manager. So when you pivot, do not throw away your past, translate it. Your background is your differentiator. Truth number 2 is you don't have to wait for a crisis to change. I wish I had started exploring sooner. You don't need to be laid off or burnt out to make a move. You can pivot from curiosity, not just crisis. And that's the beauty of it. Because when you pivot with intention, you get to bring alignment and peace with you, not panic. Truth number 3, clarity comes from doing, not deciding. You don't need a perfect plan before you start. As PMs, we always say, as your MVP, you don't need to have it all figured out. Sometimes you just need to start and clarity will catch up. That's what happened when I started becoming the product. It began as a small product idea to share what I was learning. And it turned into a brand, a community, a career shift. I didn't have the whole picture, but I had proof I was moving. And that is enough. So to anyone who's listening who feels like time has run out, maybe you're in your 30s, maybe you're in your 40s, maybe you've switched careers before, or maybe you're just scared to start over, I want to tell you this. You are not behind. You are just iterating. Every version of you is collecting data. Every season is building muscle for the next one. And as long as you're learning, you are still becoming. So here's my encouragement for you this week. Take a pause. Reflect on where you are, not with guilt, but with gratitude. Ask yourself, what is that one small thing I can start doing today that my future self will thank me for? Because pivoting doesn't happen in one big leap. It happens in small, consistent steps that leads to clarity. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to Becoming the Product. If this episode resonated with you, share it with someone who has been thinking about making a change. And if you want more resources to help you pivot with proof, you can check out my mini courses. You can subscribe to my newsletter for free templates, or you could join the waitlist for PMAAS launching January 2026. Oh, and if you're in Lagos or joining virtually, I'll be at the Dive African Conference this December on the 10th at Landmark Center. Come and say hi. Let's talk pivots, products, and purpose. Until next time, remember, you are not behind. You are just iterating. Have a great week.